Hello, hello. Welcome back to another Sunday sit down with Team BAE. It's your girl, Esty Marie, with my business bestie, Dr. Pierre. Dr. B is in the building now.
Hey,
Yes, as
hey,
y'all can
hey,
see, we're missing an active part of Team BAE.
we're missing
Y'all
the middle.
keep her in your prayers. You know, she's not feeling too well, so we just gonna keep her in our thoughts, in our prayers, and
Yeah,
we gonna have us another Sunday conversation.
absolutely, man. So, what are we doing today? We are talking about self-talk, right? Positive self-talk, or let's just actually say self-talk because that's what we're gonna get in is figure out how are we talking to ourselves, right? Are we talking to ourselves positively or are we talking to ourselves negatively? I know we usually are our biggest critics. We are the ones that get down on ourselves the most, even when other people, are pouring, positivity into us. So let's see. Um, let's talk about it. First, what does self-talk mean to you, SD? And how does that influence your daily life and how you incorporate it?
Okay, and hey, Brittany, I see you. I see you popping in. Thanks for joining us. So self talk is something for me that I have to actively take note of. When I am one who had to do a lot of internal work on my self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
So self-talk, I have to make a conscious effort to be aware of the thoughts that I'm thinking and the way in which I'm speaking to myself. I have come from a past where I've been highly critical and like extremely critical of myself. So in my day to day, I have to make a very conscious effort to give myself the same grace that I give other people.
Girl, you ain't said nothing but a word. Actually, if you've been checking out my videos this past week, I have been doing some stuff. And prior to those 2 days, Thursday and Friday, I definitely got in my own head. Like I had to talk to myself, right? I had to have other people talk to me too. I won't lie, in order for me to get better self-talk. But definitely something, I have to remember for myself is to, send myself the same positive energy that I send to other people. Just like you said, I'm great. I'm great at doing it with everybody else. And as soon as I get to myself, I'll be like, but okay. And so I definitely had to, be like, but Brandy, treat yourself like you treat others. Give yourself the same ease and grace that you give others, and not, don't beat yourself up when you're not meeting the expectations that you have for yourself, or something happens that you can't control, right? And that's part of it also is, not being able to control the situation all the time, which you can't because that's life. And being able to give myself that grace to just kind of be present and be in the moment and take it in without like beating myself up about it.
Yeah, because there are so many things that we can't control, but we can control our response. That is the
Yep.
one thing that we do have control over is the way we respond to things. So you're so right there.
Yeah. What do you think in terms of how do you think your self-talk has impacted like your mental well-being, right? Because I just talked about how I literally had to pump myself up. Has it, if ever, impacted your mental well-being either positively or negatively?
Ooh, okay, so let's go fitness, right? It's
Mm,
December. Everybody, it's December. Everybody getting ready. New year, new me. All the fitness goals is they popping right now, right?
right.
Um, I literally have had to talk myself into completing workouts, and it gets hard. It
It
really
does.
does get hard, especially if like you're not used to being a certain way. Like I grew up an athlete. I played varsity sports. So once, life you get older and you're not the same, like the body just don't work the same like it used to. But I'm still not used to carrying this weight and like I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted and not have to think about it. And now it's like,
Um,
girl, you can't do that.
that's
You
cute. Remember those days?
I'm like, if I eat this, I'm gonna have to work this off for real. And having to be in the gym, talking myself through exercises that used to be easy for me, but since I had surgery, certain moves are just not easy anymore. So having to rebuild that muscle strength, like I literally have to talk to myself out loud. I don't know how self-talk work for y'all, but for me, when I'm in the gym, I literally have to talk to myself out loud and say, Esty, move these legs. We're gonna like I literally have to talk out loud to myself. And we just kind of have to get over the fear of looking crazy in front of people, because I'll be in the gym on the treadmill and I'll be like, no, you got 5 more minutes. We're going. Move legs. And I just gotta go.
You just gotta go, right? And that's literally it. You just gotta go. Yeah, I mean, the gym is always a disrespectful place. I have to clap myself up sometimes and be like, "You got this. Let's go." So definitely understand that gym talk. And for me, I have to sometimes shut myself up because, and that's on the other side because I'll be like, oh my God, can I do this? Oh my God, am I good enough? Right. And so when we talk about that self-talk, sometimes it's not always positive. And sometimes it's, self-sabotage. And that's one of the things where, when you start to that imposter syndrome thing kind of gets in the way. That's kind of where I find myself, talking to myself. And then I have to talk to myself about myself. Like, girl, like, you are better than that. Shut up. Like, stop talking to yourself that way. And for me, like I said, I always realize I have to talk to myself like I talk to other people. I'm good. I know it for a fact. I am good with pumping other people up, and yet I can't
Yes, you are.
myself. Right. And so I have to motivate myself, or I should say inspire myself the way I can inspire other people. And so that means giving myself the same pep talk that I can give somebody else. Right. And also telling myself, not being the hypocrite, because if I can tell people, girl, give yourself grace, have patience, you got this, it'll work out. But then I'm over here telling myself, oh my God, why didn't you do X, Y, and Z? Like, what's wrong with you? Right. And so I'm not being fair to myself. And so for me, I've had to talk myself out of myself sometimes. If I go from the negative to the positive and understand, girl, you got this. Right. And, if she was on here, my poor little sick, Alicia, she had to give me a pep talk earlier this week, and that's a pep talk I had to give myself through Thursday and Friday is remember who I am, right? And
That
she was like, remember who you are. You are one of one. You are Dr. B. Like you have it. You got everything you need. You are enough, right? And so that is then what I had to tell myself is I have everything that I need. I am enough. I am one of one. I am the shit, right? And I had to tell myself, I've worked hard to get to where I am. Like I am fine. Like I have everything that I need. And so I've had to turn negative self-talk into positive self-talk.
Yes, that is so real and it's so true. And I've also had to talk myself into some things as well, because overthinking, avid overthinker here, I can think myself right out of the greatest idea that I will have, and then I sit down too long, and instead of just acting, I get to thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, wait, now should I do it like that? Now what if I try this instead? And then I'm talking myself into, well, what if that doesn't work? And there's so many scenarios that can play out in my mind. And it's just like, girl, idea that you first got, stick with it. Just go, see what happens. And it's so easy to talk ourselves out of things. And it's so true. We got to remember who we are. We have to have those moments where we can talk to ourselves and remind ourselves of our accomplishments. How do you do that?
Right. Well, one, I need to just go ahead and look at my daggone resume. But not even like, and I don't necessarily mean my professional resume, but yeah, that too, right? Like, look at where I am now. And I think that also, whenever imposter syndrome gets in my way, I literally have to talk to myself, Brandy, look what you've already done. right? Look at what you've already done. You've already taken that leap multiple times and you survived. But for some reason, again, and very transparent for me, I know exactly what my thing is because a lot of the things that I was successful at, I had control over. Anything that I
Mm,
wanted to do, I did. Well, yes. But the funny part is there are things that I want to do, but I don't have the control over the outtake, if you want to call it that, right? I don't have
mm,
control over what's coming. So I may put in everything and then I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's the problem that I wind up having is, you know, and I have to tell myself, but you did it before, right? Just because I
right.
know I can go to school and get the grades doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get that degree. I believe I'm going to get that degree, right? Just because I step out here and I get on somebody's stage, doesn't mean I'm going to get clients, but I'm going to go out here because that's what I enjoy doing. And so for me,
Mm,
I think that that's kind of where I get stuck is, you know, having to remind myself I've already done it. I did it before. What's stopping me now? What
you
about you?
know, yeah, you're so right. And I've, like you said, I've been on stages. Stages is not anything that's new to me, but I've done it in a different capacity. So now where it's like, okay, we're shifting the focus and the reason in which why I'm stepping onto these stages or putting myself in front of these audiences, then there's like the subtle negative talk that comes up like,
Mm-hmm.
well, why are you trying to do that? Or what if you say the wrong thing or like all these things that could come up and it's like but you've done this before.
Talk about it.
Again, remember who you are, remember what audiences you stood up in front of and how many people were in the room. This is not nothing new to you, boo, so go do what you do. Like
Right?
do
Exactly.
what
Exactly.
and I think remembering to have those moments of affirmation and positive affirmations are so pivotal because those allow us to really talk to ourselves and bring ourselves back to center. Like, center yourself.
I
Remember who you
completely agree. Yep. First of all, hi Amelia, I see you. And it's funny because that kind of talks about what are some like affirmations you say to yourself. Like for me, like I said, I'm like, girl, you got this. Like you've done it before. And I'll be honest, one of the things that, and I've cleaned my bathroom mirror, but I got to put it back on there. One of the things on my bathroom mirror is manifest that shit, right? Because like that's on my mirror because I need my own reminder. So like that's one of my affirmations. Of course, abundance is your birthright, but manifest that shit because if I don't talk about it, it's not gonna happen. And I need to continue to push myself past my self doubts. And so that's one of the affirmations or mantras that works for me. What's something that works for you?
So for me, I have my goal setting journal, and in my write it out planner, there is a affirmation page. So I go through and I look at that page and I literally write down, look, for me, I'm a believer. Jesus all day for me, right? So, what does God say about me? I have to remind myself what He said and empower myself with I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I am an extension of the Most High. Like, I am created by the Creator to create. So, I'm an artist, so I'm creative. So these are the things that I have to remind myself. Like, I'm an extension of the most creative being. Okay, and so these are the things that I remind myself. Like I go through the word and I look at what the word said about who I am, who I was created to be, and I remind myself of those things. And yeah, I have sticky notes and I got sticky notes all over my computer, my desk, and like I remind myself, like this one right here, it says prepare for your ascension. And it's like literally reminding me to do the work that is required for me to get to that next level. Like you got to be prepared. So that's putting in the emails and doing the things to set up what needs to be set up. But I got to constantly remind myself. That
Mhm.
conversation has to happen on a daily, sometimes multiple times a day. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I got to repeat it a few times in a day because some days I'm just not feeling
Exactly.
it.
And yeah, man. And like, what are so we talked about it a little bit. What are some ways you think like women can support each other, like how we've been doing it, etc. Women can support each other to foster that positive mindset, that positive self talk.
I honestly believe that having community and having spaces where we gather together and encourage each other is so necessary. Like, it's one thing to say it to yourself. When someone else says it to you as well, it's just more reaffirming and it
Mhm.
helps build that positive culture, especially in a society where they say women can't get along, women are not like that's not true because yeah, I mean Team BAE says it all day. Like we are very much it, okay? And we
Oh,
come and support each other. And that is what is necessary. Like we need to just create spaces where we can come and just share compliments and share what each other is doing and let each other know that we support each other in those endeavors. I think that's so necessary.
I agree with you, man. Like, like I said, if it was because of that, having the other person remind me to remind myself of who I am, because sometimes you can't see it when you're in the haze of that self-doubt, or that, you're on the brink of that self-sabotage, and somebody has to snap you back like, girl, get your life, right? And, and I am that person. You like, don't soft talk me. Like, I need you to check me. I need you to check me. Like, come be like, you're right, right? Like, but you have to know that, right? And so you definitely have to have the right people in your circle who are going to be transparent and honest with you and going to give it to you how you need to take it, right? They know you well enough to be able to say, look, like, I'm not gonna soft talk. Oh, don't do that, because I'm gonna ignore you. Like, I need you to be like I said, remember who you are and get yourself together. And
Exactly.
that's what got me together. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, right? But it
Right.
worked because when I went in and like I said, this past Thursday and Friday, I did some big things. Official drop's gonna be in March, so y'all gonna stick around for that. But like, I did some big
Can't wait.
things this week, right? And it was scary. And even with working with the person in charge, he was like, "But you survived." I was like, "I know, but it was hard." He said, "But you survived." He said, "You know what? You're right." And he was like, "You're still standing. You're absolutely right." And so sometimes you have to just have those people remind you of that, and then you push yourself. I got this. I got this. I got this. And that's literally what I had to do Thursday and Friday, is to say in my head, when I was going through all of the tough parts, remember who you are. Remember who you are. You got this. You are more than enough. You have this. Like, you deserve this, right? And so those were some of the things I just had to keep saying to myself. And like you said, sometimes it's on repeat multiple times through that day. But like, you got to do it. You got to do it because there is somebody else waiting for what you have, but they will not receive it if you don't give it.
That part. And really knowing and understanding that there are people connected to us reaching our destiny because we have somebody else's destiny locked on the inside of us. And so
Right.
us really getting to where we need to be is the key for someone else. And you
Yep.
said something in that self-talk that I think is part of what we have to deal with, especially in combating imposter syndrome, is that whole I deserve this. Like being able to say, I deserve this,
Yep.
and then let that sit, take it in, and feel it.
Right.
And then notice if there's any funny energy that you feel on the inside of your body when you say, I deserve this. Because whatever that is, that's the stuff you got to work on getting out so that when
Mhm.
you say, I deserve this, it doesn't feel funny. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like you're lying to yourself. That's the part. And that's the work that we have to do so that when we say, I deserve this, we can say it, own it, and believe it.
Right. And like I said, that was a line I told that, and you are so worth it. Those were actually two lines of what I did this weekend. And those are actually two lines of what I did this weekend. You are so worthy. And for anybody whose eyes are touching this screen, looking at this and wondering what they, if they can do it or they need positive self-talk, you are worth it and you deserve it. Right. And sometimes we wait for other people to tell us that we are worth having that positive energy, but we need to first tell ourselves, because we can't go to bed at night living the lives that we live, waiting on somebody else to tell us that we're worth it or telling us that we deserve it. We got to believe it ourselves, because their compliment should be a compliment, right? Their
Mhm.
compliments should be a compliment, not a supplement, right? And so we need to understand that we have to self-talk ourselves in that positive manner. And we have to remind ourselves that we are worth it and that we deserve it. And so that in itself is going to help us change how we talk to ourselves, is first recognizing we deserve to have the positive self-talk and all of the things that we want to have, right? Because the negative self-talk comes when we are stopping ourselves from achieving what we want to achieve, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. When we stop ourselves, nobody else is doing that. We are, and we have to figure out why. And somewhere in
That
that process of stopping, we figured out that we don't deserve this. We can't have that good thing on the other side. We aren't worth it. And that's the work we have to do, is figure out, why do we think that, right? What is
right.
stopping us from getting to the other side? Why can't we get to the other side of great, right? We're stuck in good. Why can't we get to great? And it's not always people on the outside. A lot of it is the person on the inside,
The
right?
internal the internal stuff. It's like the heart work that needs to be done.
Talk about
Like,
it.
you feel me? Because what I have come to find, what I have noticed is when that negative is happening, it's really a form of self-preservation. Like we are trying to save ourselves from the hurt of not receiving the thing,
Right.
or like the fear of rejection. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to step into this next level, because what if it doesn't work out? I don't want to feel the pain of the disappointment of it not happening. So if I just stay right here in good, where I know what's going to happen, I know what's expected, even though I don't like what's happening here, I already
Right.
know what to expect.
Right.
So
And
this
it's our safe
this is
space, right? It's our safe space.
exactly
And I swear this is all tying into my 12 tips of Christmas. I'm just gonna let this out. But like on day one, or I think it was day one or day two, I talked about embracing vulnerability, right? Because vulnerability comes from the Latin word vulnus, which means wound. And so vulnerability is basically allowing your authentic self to heal from that wound, right? And so vulnerability is the courage to do it anyway, to do it and be willing to take whatever comes on the back end of that, right? So you
right,
may make that step and it may not go like you wanted it to go, but you won't know how to fix it until you actually take that step, right? You won't know what you need to change if you don't take that step. So vulnerability is putting yourself out there and being brave enough to take what comes on the back end of that, right? And so I think when you're talking about that, we have to be vulnerable enough to know that good is good, but I deserve great. And great may have some bumps in it, because anything new is going to be uncomfortable, but I can't be in that space. Like, good used to be great until you got used to it, till you got comfortable. And now good is good. And now we need to take that next step to great, because again, we've done it before, because where we are now was new at some point. And now it's good, and now we have to try and figure out how to get to great again. But for some reason we always get stuck, like, oh my God, I don't want to jump. But I don't know.
you're right. You're right. It's so crazy how it all just ties together like that. But we have to be willing to take those steps. We have to be willing to move, integrate, because everyone starts somewhere. Like nobody is just amazing. And I think that's the part
Um,
that nobody starts off at amazing. Everybody has to grow into it. And one of the things that I love, and it kind of ties into culturally responsive teaching, and it's very funny how we encourage this in students, but then when it comes to us, we kind of just throw it to the back burner. But we're encouraging our students to take those mistakes and learn from them. Take those
right,
mistakes and take that as information to now go ahead and figure out what do I need to do differently. Like it's okay that these mistakes happen because now we know what we need to do to improve. So
right. The
we have to
hypocrisy
come
of adulthood. That's what I call it.
the same steps that we try and encourage the children, we need to use them in our adult lives, you know?
Right. And yeah, and that's like I said, I call that, I now have defined that as the hypocrisy of adulthood, right?
You
Because we are telling students to do things that we ourselves will not do. You know, fix the problem, address the problem, do it scared. You got this. You're gonna succeed. You don't know unless you try. And here we are, like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
right,
And
right.
what's interesting is, I know life experiences have stunted us, right? Life experiences have stunted us. Interactions, relationships have changed who we are. But the next one is not the one that messed you up, for lack of better words, right?
Hard.
Right. And so it's like, but and I get it. Again, it's all about being vulnerable. We step into the next one, no matter what it is, job, relationship, friendship, whatever. We step into the next one based on our experiences from the previous one, right? Well, this one did this, so I'm going to ease into this one. I'm not going to love as hard because last time I loved that hard, I got burned, but that person didn't burn you. And so
Right.
vulnerability is understanding that you need to give the same effort and not necessarily expect the same result, because you can't change who you are based on how another person did. Like you said, we can only um determine
Control our
our, yeah, what we
Mhm.
do, right? And so I should not be changing who I am based on a bad experience, right? Just like customer service, I'm gonna still shop at the place, I'm gonna still buy the products, but just because I had a bad interaction with one, salesperson, doesn't take away that I'm going to return to that place. I might go to a different person, but it's not going to stop me from going to the place, right? And so
Right.
as we live our lives, why is it that we then, because I had a bad experience with this one, I'm going to change my entire atmosphere, and just not do it, because I'm just not going to do it, because I'm not going to experience that again.
Man, those vows that we make to ourselves, some silent vows that we make, man, gotta break them. Gotta break them. So we gotta be willing to put ourselves in position to receive. Like we have to put ourselves in position to receive. I think that is so important. We shut ourselves off because of one bad experience.
Right.
Now we're closing the door on opportunities that we could be waiting for. Like these opportunities are the answers to our prayers, but we sitting
Right.
here like I ain't doing that again because the last time I went through this person did whatever, and I'm just not going to experience that again. And it's like, well, your answer is over there.
Right.
So what you gonna do?
I got one for you. It just kind of popped in my head, and and I wonder, because it made me think about everything I just said. How do you think, like, stereotypes or even your upbringing impacts how you talk to yourself or how you think about yourself?
Girl, listen.
Girl, it hit me. I was like, wait a minute, because I know a lot of how I define myself. Um, Somebody just asked me this yesterday, which is hilarious. Actually, it was on Friday during the interview. Um, how I define myself was initially greatly impacted by my upbringing, right? My self esteem was determined by things I heard, family members say about me, or any right people around me who, I don't necessarily have the same shape as everybody in my family. I'm a little thick. I got bumps and curves and things that a lot of my family members do not have. They're almost straight down, flat, right? And so growing up, having these things and then having your family be like, where did that come from? Right. And it's not necessarily meant to be mean, but when you are a teenager trying to discover yourself and trying to figure out why you have these things, and is it a bad thing? Like, you're trying to figure out, is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Right. You know, that didn't come from our side of the family. Well, what you mean? Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I'm gonna tell you now, today it's a great thing. But when you're young and you're a teenager, you're trying to figure out, like, your body's changing and you're just trying to figure out life. You don't want to hear that. And so then you wind up like, well, dang, is that a bad thing? Does that mean I'm ugly? Does that mean that, like, I'm not okay? Like, what's wrong with me? Right. And so I know, and then, we definitely have the stereotypes, and I know you're going to get to that one, but like, even the stereotypes about what's expected of you, you got the angry black woman thing, right? Do I have to carry myself a certain way to meet or make people feel comfortable? Right. And so those are things that are in your head, like, am I good enough? And that's where that, am I worthy? Do I deserve this? Because a lot of the outside talk conflicts with some of the things you try to make yourself believe. At least for me. What about you, girl? What about you?
Listen, being the one of the only two fifth graders with a chest is a very interesting situation to be in. Having to walk through the mall telling grown men I am a child because my body was a little bit more developed than most, and I was tall. So, I went into high school already 5 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like 5'6" in the 10th grade. Okay. I'm tall, body shape. The shape was shaping. I did not look my age. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all of that. And, the over sexualizing of women, that especially women of color, that come. So it's like, oh, look at that fast little girl. Like, no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not even. I'm not even interested. Like, I want to go play basketball with boys. Like that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do all that extra stuff. But I didn't really get along. I have brothers, one, so I was more comfortable hanging out with boys because I had a little bit more shape. Now you got people say, "Oh, she fast. She just want to hang out with all the boys." Like, no, I'm more comfortable hanging out with boys because for the longest time I was the only girl. I do have a sister, but she came along a little bit later on in my life, so I was more comfortable playing with the fellas. Like, that was my thing, and so
Mm-hmm.
constantly hearing people make those type of remarks, and then I got this body, I'm getting this attention that I don't necessarily want. I'm not interested in the attention that I'm getting. It's making me uncomfortable. Things have happened to me that made me feel like, okay, was this my fault? Like, what did I do to make this happen? So when you have all of these things happening internally before you even hit 15 years old, like,
Right.
the mind just got you all kind of confuzzled.
Right.
The mind just be confuzzled. And then there's the, okay, this person said something to me, especially in the workplace. This person is saying something to me. I want to respond, but then I have to overanalyze my response because I don't want to come as the angry black woman in my response to said inappropriate thing. But I need to say something because you're just going to talk to me any type of way. But then I don't want HR to get involved. So there's all these factors that come into play where you have to do, like, mind hula hoops and, like, all kinds of to figure out a quick response. And I don't think it's fair that we have to go through those types of things, and everyone doesn't have to do that. But because of stereotypes, we are forced to then have all these internal conversations before an external conversation ever happens. And it's crazy to me that these things go on. Like this just happened yesterday. I was at the gym. I was in the sauna, and this person was using their privilege, and like literally the police were called. We were all in the sauna, and the sheriff showed up, and we were like, what is happening? And he basically said that a person was being irate and trying to fight everybody, and we were just looking like we were all confused because we were like, what just happened? uh but I guess he didn't like the response that was given from the other individual, and it turned into that. And those are the type of things that happen where it's like your response can be taken as a threat in such a way where the authorities are now involved. And it's over something as simple as, bro, you're not following the rules. You're not supposed to hang your clothes on the sauna. Like, can you take the stuff off of there? Can you move your stuff? That was all that was asked of this person. And somehow the police were called, like the sheriff is showing up, and we're all standing in the sauna like, what is happening? But those are the things, like your response can be taken in such a way where you have to really analyze how should I say this?
Right. Yeah, man. And you know that, and then all of that, like you said, is just that self-talk is like, was it my fault, right? Did I do something wrong? And like you mentioned before, and all of a sudden now you're like, what did I do? Like, and then you're like, now you are changing who you are because you are trying to tiptoe around somebody else's response, right? The impact of your
No,
words on somebody else's response.
you never know how someone is going to respond. And I've had someone like, they asked me a question, I gave them the answer to what they asked me, and then, well, you didn't have to say it like that, and their feelings are hurt, and I'm like, bruh, you asked me. I'm sorry.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
So that constant analyzing and choosing the next words carefully.
Yeah. How would you say, like, with that in mind, like, from who you were before and kind of who you are now, how do you think your self talk has evolved over the years, especially like for like your personal growth?
I would say getting more in depth in my spiritual walk has definitely helped with the self talk because we're three-part beings: mind, body, spirit. And so being able to not have that disconnect to where I could say, oh, I love my mind because I'm smart, but then I'm neglecting my spirit and I'm neglecting my body because I just eat whatever I want to eat, junk food, not exercising. Like all of these things play a part into who we are. And as I have grown and continue to grow, I'm learning that making sure that there's a balance between all three and really incorporating and understanding like we are spiritual beings inhabiting physical bodies going through this experience, not losing sight of who we are and understanding that words are spirit and they have life. And that's why we have to speak life. And so making a conscious effort to not speak negatively over myself or the things that I'm trying to do. Because now, if words are spirit and they are life or they are death, I'm creating a war for myself
Right.
by speaking negatively. And now I have to go ahead and fight through the things that I've just said because I put them out into the atmosphere. And now I got to fight against those things that I put out there. So I have over the years learned to acknowledge that that spirit world is real And what we say is very much impacted, like it impacts our life. And so I have grown to not just let any old thing fly out my mouth.
Girl,
But then
right? The
I still
power of
have
the
to deal,
tongue.
yes, then I still have to deal with what is it doing in my head, because even though it's not coming out of my mouth, it's still going on in here. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I address that part? And that's where putting in like what I'm consuming positive things, listening to podcasts, things that are going to help me grow, things that are going to help me address the root causes of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Like we have to do the inner work. There's no way we can get around doing the inner work of addressing those things that we have experienced in our past that cause us to think the way that we think, because we're all programmed based on our experiences to react a certain way, to think a certain way. So being able to look at that, I feel like is very important and will really help change the trajectory of wherever it is that we're trying to go.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I completely agree with you. Over the years, just knowing that what you put out in the atmosphere is going to impact your well-being. And so, I slip up sometimes, but I definitely think that also one way I work on, like, how my self-talk has developed over the years is who I put myself around as well. So yeah, it is about, what's going on in your head, but if you're not feeding, like you said, what am I consuming? If you're not feeding yourself with the positive stuff, like I don't watch the news. I will read about it because I can't consume the news in the way that the media and the news stations put it out there, right? It's too much. But I
Yeah,
will read about it. So I'll read the papers. I will read about it because I can control how I digest it, right? But I can't watch the news all the time because that's a lot. So what I consume and how I consume it also has that impact. But also, who am I, putting myself around? Who am I, in an audience with? If I'm around people who are constantly talking negatively or constantly complaining or constantly saying, everything is wrong, this is wrong, and blaming all of the external factors as to why things are happening the way they are, I can't be in that space because that energy is going to then consume me and I'm going to become that person. So, I'm careful about who I surround myself with. I'm careful about how I take in information. And like I said, even though I still constantly have that imposter syndrome thing pop up every now and then, I think that I am getting much better at um, kicking that chick to the side. Because, like, I definitely in the last probably couple of months I've been really focused on, telling myself, Brandy, what happens if you just press go and you keep your foot on the gas? You don't know until you do it, right? And so
right.
making a conscious effort to, again, talk that talk about, you deserve this, you are worth it, and you've done this crap before. So I think for me, that has been something over the years that I've become more intentional. And actually, the shirt I had on earlier today actually says "Be intentional." And so, being more intentional about how I act and how I treat my brain, and again, surrounding myself with people who are going to feed me in the same way I need to feed myself. So if we're not talking, I'm not going to give you something bad about yourself. So I don't expect you to give me something bad. I need the support just as much as I'm giving the support. And that was something that I realized as well, is that surrounding yourself with the right people who will feed you and not
Yeah,
starve you.
girl.
I know. Whole lot of gems I'm just dropping. I'm glad this thing is recorded. I'm gonna have to go back on some of this. You know?
That right there was a whole message, because if you're the only person in your circle who is doing all the pouring and the feeding, like you cannot starve yourself in that way. There has to be somebody pouring back into you. Where are you getting it? Where are you getting it from?
Exactly.
Because that listen, you said a whole word.
Right?
Okay.
When they literally you can pour from an empty cup, and if you're constantly pouring and nobody's filling your cup, no wonder you got this negative self-talk, because you also are trying to figure out, and again, these were my revelations these past couple of days, let me tell you. um you know you need to be able to receive the same energy that you give. And if you are not, somebody needs to be pushed to another category, right? Like you can't. And one of my uh, shower revelations this morning is um, treating people, or no, let me see, trying to fill a cup with potential, but it is full on capacity, right? Because we keep trying to believe that people are more than what they have the capacity to be. And when we
Ooh,
start, right? That was my revelation in the shower this morning.
girl.
And so when we are expecting potential for someone who only has capacity, we're actually setting ourselves up to fail. When we get mad because we are expecting something greater than what that person literally only has the capacity to do. We are trying to give them more stuff because we want. This is what I need, right? The potential is what I need. The capacity is what you have. And so I can't expect potential up here when you only have the capacity to be down here. That means I need to treat you at your capacity and not at my expectation of potential, right? And so when you get your expectations to that capacity, you respond differently, right? And so that was something I learned. I told you I've been going through this journey. That's something that I learned, is that I need to treat people at their capacity and not my expectation of potential, because then I won't be disappointed if you don't meet that need, right? And then that also means that I put you in this, like and it doesn't mean I have low expectations. I have expectations now for what I know you have the ability to do, or what ability for that you have to give to me, right? And if that's all you have, that's all you have, and that's where I need to leave you at. But I need to have also that person that's going to be able to be up here and fill my cup up here. That may not be you. That may not be
That
you, and that's okay. But like I said, I need to hold people at their capacity and not my expectation of potential. That was a whole word. That was my bathroom revelation this morning.
listen, okay. That that was fire because we literally put potential and expect potential out of people, but then our hearts are broken. We're upset. We're
Right?
angry. We're mad at the world because they are not giving us what we're seeing through our rose colored lenses because we're seeing something that is not there.
Right?
And literally have to train our brains to not do that, to accept what is, as far as when it comes to people. Like you have to accept what they are giving you,
Right?
accept what you see for what it is. Do not overexert yourself trying to change someone because people do. You cannot change anybody.
Nope.
You cannot change anybody. That is the one thing that you cannot do. But you can change the way you program your mind and the way you respond to things. But I even had to learn because I wouldn't even drink almond milk. Okay, I
I
do
remember this.
I do not like milk at all. At all, don't like it. However, that's because I just don't like the taste. But as I get older, there are certain things that I just have to do for the sake of my health, even if I don't like it. So I have learned to tell myself within the first like 3 seconds of that mess touching my tongue, this is good for my body and I like this. And as I continue to tell myself this, I'm now able to get through the whole 8 ounces with look, y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is real practical application of positive self-talk. Like I literally had to tell myself, we like this. This is good for us. Every time I took a sip, we like this. This is good for us. Now I can swallow that thing without, having a gag reflex. Okay. Like I do what I need to do and drink the almond milk, but it took some work, y'all. I literally had to talk myself through it. And B knows she laughing because she knows. Uh, but that right there is some real practical strategies. Like talk to yourself right in the midst of the thing that you don't like or the thing that's making you feel a certain way. Because if you train your brain, I don't remember the actual science behind it, but you have X amount of seconds to allow your brain to like reprogram and not let it be a negative thought. The more you allow it to stay negative, you're always going to have a negative reaction to it. So that's why immediately after taking that sip, I say, we like this. This is for us. I'm able to eat now that I would just throw them vegetables away. Like all them, I was like, I don't need that. Don't like it, not gonna do it. But now I can get through things that I don't like doing because I tell myself we like this and
Right.
we're gonna do it.
Sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get where you got to go, right? And whether that's your health, whether that's your professional life, whether that's your personal life, it's not going to all be fun, but some things, and that's just this adulthood thing. You got to do some things you just got to do them to get where you got to go. And so, that self-talk is absolutely important. How you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, but definitely how you talk to yourself will be how you treat yourself. Let's put it that way. Because if you don't feel that you are worth it or you don't feel that you deserve it, you will act as such, right? And you will let other people treat you as such. So how you talk to yourself not only impacts how you treat yourself, it also uh, impacts how other people treat you, because you will only accept what you feel that you are valued for, what you feel that you are worth, right? And so that is our self-talk. So talk to yourself nice. That's what we talk to me nice, right?
Right.
Tell
Talk to
yourself
me now.
talk to me nice, right? And know that it's all about um manifestation as well, right? You talk nice, you do nice. You do nice, you get nice, right? So setting that structure up all starts with you. So I mean, I don't know if you have any other closing remarks, SD, as we wrap this up.
No, I'm just gonna tell y'all, talk to yourself very nicely. Okay. Talk to yourself very nice because honestly, it's how you're going to get to where you want to be. The more you speak it, you got to speak what you want so that you can see what you say. Okay? Speak what you want so you can see what you say. I'm going to leave it with
We
that.
over here dropping these gems left and right. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. Awesome, awesome. I think that's about it. I mean, I will say we can drop our stuff. So I am Dr. B. You can catch me on my social medias. It is on the bottom of this screen. Also, I have a webinar coming up on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and it is called Empower Your Superpower. So we are talking about self-talk today. We're going to talk about some of that on Tuesday, some self-awareness and authenticity. Be your most authentic self and understand that you deserve to live the life you desire. But sometimes we get in our own way and we get stuck on some things. So we're going to talk about that on Tuesday. Like I said, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you want to sign up, you can go to any of my pages, my Dr. B. Randy on IG or my Be Empowered LLC on IG. The link is at the top of my bio, and sign up for it. It is destined to be something that is awakening, and we're going to begin that self-talk journey on Tuesday.
Yes. And y'all already know where you can follow me. E.Marie, that is 0. And if you are anyone who is interested in getting more in touch with your relationship, you want with yourself, relationship with yourself. Okay. We are working on yes, building the way you talk to yourself. You want some help with that? You really want to work on how you're engaging with other people, bring more arts into your life because art is very good for your mental health. Okay, there's a lot of studies. Uh, you need to incorporate some art in your life. You need a coloring book. All the things. We need to be engaging in 45 minutes of artistic creative activities daily, just for your mental. Okay, so holla at me. Come talk to me. I got you. I will help you get creative juices a flowing. So, Arts Reach Consulting or E. Marie, holla at your girl, and we will see y'all in
On the 7th,
January.
January 7th. I had to do the math earlier. So
I
our
was like,
next
"Man,
Yes, we will see you all in 2024, God willing. January 7th, we will do this again. January 7th and January 21st will be
yeah,
our January drops. And, we said a lot of extra things here today. So, I don't know. We might have some good talk. Well, we are definitely going to have some good talks in January. But if there's something that you want to hear us talk about, drop a note. Our social medias. Hit us up. And let us
shoot,
know what you want to hear us talk about because we are here for you. So Sunday sit down with Team BAE. That is Brandy, Alicia, and Esty. We hope you
yeah,
have a happy holiday. Whichever holidays you are celebrating, we hope you enjoy them. And we will
yeah.
see you in 2024.
Be safe, y'all. Enjoy the holiday. Don't eat too much. We got
And
these New Year body goals. Don't be eating too much now.
I
Or
mean,
well,
it'll be a new body in the new year. It just may not be the one I expected.
eat what you want and work it off. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But y'all have an amazing, amazing holiday. We will see you in 2024. Bye.
bye.